So if anyone has trouble sleeping later, you can watch the recording.
Is it shared?
Yeah,
Can you guys
we're
see
saying
that?
thank you.
Yeah, I can do that.
Sorry about that.
Where's the camera for? I'm doing.
Hello, hello.
So in Canada, there's no standards. It's not like a doctor has to take the same test no matter what province you're in, or a dentist has to take the same test. It's not like that. So you have to, when you're speaking with a financial planner or a tax preparer or an accountant or whatever, does this person provide the service you want? Okay, if you get in a car accident, you may or may not need a dentist, but he's not going to fix you up head to toe. Just because he's a doctor doesn't mean he's a brain surgeon or picks up your bones or what. It's a very specific type of doctor. Same thing with a tax world. There's different types of accountants. So I like to show you just what my company does. We offer online expert tax planning. So all the rules that come out, municipal, provincial, federal, change monthly apparently. And you have to know what to do in a response, how to avoid certain things, how to take advantage of certain things, or how to just accept certain things and swear openly at certain politicians because they're just screwing you. That's pretty much what situation we're in. I've done this for 20 plus years. I'm safely minimize the taxes for both self-employed and for corporations. They're two different corporate formats and it has to be a different set of rules. I've met, unfortunately, too much CRA audit experience and success. I cannot prevent an audit. It can't be done, but I can make damn sure you win. And that's, you get the bookkeeping training, you file the return properly, and they can still attack you, but you're going to win because you followed all the rules and it's been proven in the tax code of Canada, this is the right answer. That's the important thing. If you know where it ends, you know how to start properly. Doesn't matter how good a sales rep you are, how fast you can talk. When you get to court or with CRA auditors, they don't care what your story is, prove it. Can you defend your receipts? Can you defend your actions? That's what counts. And of course, if you know that, January I can start you with brushing teeth. You don't do it the night before you see the dentist, you do it all year. Same thing with tax. Tax Code of Canada train. House of Commons makes the law. Canada Revenue Agency is a collection agency. It's actually in their name. They're not civil servants. They're not part of the bureaucracy. They're a contracted group like mercenaries. They're separate, different hiring, firing practices, different pension, different everything. But everyone assumes they're government, but they're not. They're actually hired by the government. Their rules are different. Tax Code of Canada settles all disputes between you, the taxpayer, and CRA, the collection agency. There's Supreme Court of Canada, you've heard of. They handle federal, constitution, and provincial jurisdiction issues. The other Supreme Court of Canada is the Tax Court of Canada. Only the House of Commons can override them. So it's House of Commons, Tax Court of Canada, CRA's collection agency, and us, the taxpayer. So CRA doesn't make rules, CRA doesn't make jurisdiction, CRA doesn't have jurisdiction. They don't make rulings. Tax Court of Canada does that. But everyone thinks, oh, CRA is powerful. They threaten you. Yeah, it's a collection agency, right? You better pay or you're double by Thursday. Double. Crazy. So I've lived in 4 provinces and I've done self-employed incorporated, and I have customers right now in 6 different provinces and whatnot. I can do everything but Quebec. I don't speak the language, and it's not Canada Revenue Agency, it's Quebec Revenue Agency, so it's different rules, different laws. It's like Portugal taxes. I don't know anything about that. My claim to fame, my company, we offer bookkeeping training. It takes 2 hours. If you know the rules, you can play the game cleanly. There's 4 sets of bookkeeping rules in Canada. Self-employed, sole prop partnership. There's salaried commission sales reps. There's small corporation, large corporation. The problem is they all use the same terms. Supplies, gas, meals, entertainment. They use the same terms, but the rule, if you're corporate, that means this. If you're self-employed, it means this. If you're a commission sales rep, it means this. If you're a large corporation, it means that. That's the problem. It's very efficient until you try to use it.
Yeah.
So. I also, every month with my clients, I send out a monthly newsletter, municipal, provincial, federal tax changes. Most importantly, though, it comes with tax planning advice. So it's like a chemist telling me vitamin D is important. Okay, how much do I eat a day? Where do I eat it? Is it pills? Is it from lettuce? Like it has to be in context. It has to give some advice. I do that with every single tax news I give, because it's out of context otherwise, and you don't know what to do with it. So I feel that's a fair fight. I do that for free because we're all in this together. So bookkeeping training, it takes 2 hours. It's a customized tax template over the last 23 years of, it's in Excel, and all the formulas are built in. And I took the actual expense headings from the tax return and put it in Excel. So there's no translation. It's not what you call it. It's not what I call it. This is on the tax return. Nice and easy. The rules I give you are not from CRA, and they're certainly not from me. Everything you thought of, everything you challenge, everything you like or dislike has gone through Tax Court of Canada probably 20 times by now. Their ruling is the law. This is how it's to be interpreted and applied. That's the rules I give you. So I've already given you, here's the end of the game, you're going to win because you only do it this way. So imagination's lovely, but not with tax. If you're self-employed, you can do your own bookkeeping in maybe half an hour a month. Just the end of the month, when I get the newsletter, it's about the 4th or 5th of every month. I send out a newsletter. It's a nagging email saying, hey, do your bookkeeping now, go through your credit card, go through your checking account, record all the expenses. So you see it every month. And the more you practice it, you go, oh, if I know these rules, when I buy something, I do it properly. Now it's defendable. It's not like there's some magic pill come tax season, do something with the receipts. No, you have to buy it properly. And that's what I want. When I do bookkeeping, it's not to change how you record things, it's how you buy things. That's what I want you to learn. That's important because then it's safe, it's dependable. I don't care if CRA tax you, do it right. But we also have bookkeepers because a lot of people don't like this. It happens. And again, if you're self-employed bookkeeper, you get the newsletter with the advice every month. That's for self-employed. This is on a T1, it's called a personal tax return. It depends on your industry, like insurance can't collect GST because you don't charge GST on insurance products. I'm a tax guy, I charge GST. So get a GST number on your SIN number. You don't have to get a sole proprietorship or a partnership. You don't have to pay any of that. Just put on your SIN, that's fine. Benefits, there's no extra cost for this business structure. I am a Christmas tree decorator. There, I'm self-employed. That's literally how hard it is. There's no form to fill out. You can be an extra consultant tomorrow if you want. Easy peasy. Taxable income is greatly reduced after tax training. Again, if you know the rules, you can play this game. I tell every client, first day, don't use logic. It doesn't work. Learn the rules. Because not a lot of this is logical. It's just, this is a rule because this provincial premier did this, or this last prime minister did that. It made sense at the time, but now it's 20 years later, we just haven't gotten rid of the rule. Well, so you have to follow it. Again, self-employed, don't really need a bookkeeper. You do it yourself in half an hour. And the thing about self-employment, if you don't have the revenue because it's your first year, like you started in November, or it was a rough year because of a divorce, or because of competition, or because your employer or your kids, whatever, there's up years and down years, right? Still record the expenses. Expenses that you don't use carry forward 3 years on a tax return. But you have to record it in the year it occurred. So 2024, you must put it on the return. If you can't use it, the software automatically carries it 25, no, 26, no, 27, and then it'll expire. We have to record it in 2024. You can't just report it in 27, because then the 3-year clock starts from there. So, I'm sorry, it doesn't look that big, cranky. If you're incorporated, it's called a T2, it's a corporate tax return, and there's GST numbers attached to the corporation. It's a separate legal entity from you. You're in control of it, but there's certain rules about it because it's separate. It's like a husband and wife are together forever, separate SIN numbers, separate, everything's different. Much higher cost to run it to get that beautiful lower tax rate. There's corporation registrations about $1,100, annual reports $50 a month, sorry, $50 a year. You need a bookkeeper when you become incorporated. It's just too difficult. Otherwise, you have to be prepared for a much bigger audit. Filing fees are much higher, and you still have to file your personal tax return. So there's a lot of overhead with a much better tax rate. The benefit, well, the corporate tax rate is 11%, which is pretty good, but there's overhead to go with that. You also get lifetime capital gains exemption when you sell the corporation of 1.25 mil per shareholder. So I'm a shareholder, my daughter's a shareholder, my nephew's a shareholder, my 2 nieces are shareholders. They do nothing for the corporation. But when I eventually sell my company, because I think only Hudson Bay lives forever. Every other corporation shuts down, if I'm not mistaken. When I sell the corporation, every shareholder gets 1.25 million tax free. Nice and clean. So that's why we try to build your corporation, try to get some self-employment, try to build up the corporation, and then sell it eventually. And it's just a beautiful vacation. Reimbursements are tax-free for the corporations, so I use my personal credit card to buy a tank of gas, buy a meal, to buy a new laptop. Corporation reimburses me. So I don't have to pay myself a dividend, which is taxable income. I give myself reimbursement. So it's free. So my need for dividends drops like a rock. So I don't have to, my personal tax return, you look at it and go, how can you afford macaroni? It's pretty bad because I get so much reimbursement. Yes.
Can you define the reimbursements?
Oh, reimbursement is like, for example, if you work for a large company, I was a sales rep for TELUS way back when. So I go out on my credit card, buy lunch for a potential customer, come back, give them the receipt. They give me a reimbursement. It's not a paycheck. It's not a dividend. It's not a consulting fee. It's just a reimbursement. So I started my day here, negative $50 for lunch. They gave me $50. I'm back to zero. So you can't tax break even, right? But it's my company. So I give myself reimbursement. So part of my house, I pay for personally. So my utilities and property tax and blah, blah, blah. The corporation reimburses me for 20% of it or whatever. So I don't need income, which is taxable. I just get reimbursement for part of it. And now my dividend, instead of $100, is only $80. Well, if I get 95% of my phone, okay, now, how about my car? How about suddenly my dividend's nothing? Or, very, very low. Yeah.
That's a curious question. In that case, are you suggesting that perhaps it's better do it on your personal credit card or whatever versus getting a company
That's what I do.
card or
Yeah.
company
I don't
card?
have a corporate credit card. I just do everything on my personal because all the points are in one place. For bookkeeping, it's very easy because I can't miss it. There's only one credit card. It's gonna be, I'm gonna find the expenses and I get all the reimbursements. Now, not all of it's like buy this jacket, whatever. I can't reimburse that, so I just ignore it when I fill out my bookkeeping template every month. I ignore that. Food, I can't write off. Stuff like that. But what I can, so the house, the car, the phone, the supplies, the laptops, supply, property tax, blah, blah, blah. All that goes in. Some of it's percentages, some of it's 100%. Well, I get reimbursement for X amount of it, but I don't need income anymore.
Yeah, okay.
That's the key. I purposely drop my personal income because I don't want to pay tax on it. I only take out of the corporation what I need. I leave everything else as retained earnings. And if I need something, I look at a lot of the rules and go, can the corporation buy it?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to take dividends, nothing you can do, but
Okay, thank you.
so, yeah, and dividends are, yeah,
Can you explain more on dividends tax credit?
yes, I can.
Can you explain more?
Because dividends are after tax. So the corporation already paid 11% tax. I, as a human who received a dividend from a Canadian corporation, get a dividend tax credit. So they have to account for the 11% that the corporation already paid. So in Canada, if I have no other source of income from my corporation, I got a $30,000 dividend for the year. I'm paying $450 in income tax because of the dividend tax credit. If I make $60,000 in dividends and no other income, I'm paying $5,500 in tax. If I make $90,000, I'm paying $8,500. It's under 10%. Because the corporation paid a dividend, but corporation already paid income tax. Now, I'm a small company. 11% works up to $500,000 profit, not revenue, but profit. Over $500,000 is 26%. So a company like Bell Canada gives you a dividend. You're getting not 11% dividend tax credit, you're getting a 26% dividend tax credit. Every government wants you to invest in their own country, right? The Americans do it, Canadians do it, British, French, everyone does it. Not for other countries, but for your own. So if you have a Canadian corporation, they're making over $500,000, you're getting a much, much bigger dividend tax credit. It makes much more sense than interest or capital gains. Dividends are beautiful because of the tax treatment. So if the corporation paid it, you get the credit for it. You're not taxed on that amount because they've already paid tax on it. That makes sense?
That every year they change that dividend tax credit. Every year.
Yeah,
They change
yeah,
it.
the last one we have is what 15.02, and it's been 4 years now. It's been the same, but it was different 5 years ago. I presume with an election year coming up, it may drop because it's faster to bribe people than anything else. Well, no, let's be honest. This 2-month tax credit,
150.
get more into debt,
Wow.
get more into debt at Christmas, guys. It's all fine. In November, you'll make $1 million. Come on. You don't bribe people. So,
I have a question. So when your company gives you it gives you money which is considered as dividend tax credit, wouldn't it also be classified as income?
well, it is income, but there's salary income.
Yeah.
There's dividend income, that's a different page. Then there's interest income, that's a different page in the tax return. Then there's capital gains income, that's a different page. Then there's inheritance is free. There's different pages, different tax.
Salary
returns.
income. Oh, there's
No.
dividend
There's,
income.
on a good thing, on a T1, a personal tax return, there's about 300 pages. There's a page for everything. So there's a page for if you make donations to religion, if there's a page for medical expenses.
Right.
There's a page for everything. That's why we use these type of words, dividend versus income versus capital gains versus interest. It's a different type of income, so it's taxed differently.
Oh,
Yeah, well, again, the rules. It's not logical because I made $100. Who cares? I made $100. No, well, if it's this, if you're left-handed and wear glasses, it's different. There's rules everywhere. It's crazy. So, yeah, it's not logical.
even if it's like a consistent dividend every month, you can still, it's a dividend, not income then. Right?
One, it has to come from a corporation,
Right.
and two, you must be a shareholder of the corporation.
You have to be sure, okay, yeah.
Because otherwise you can't, like, tell us I don't have any shares, they can't give me dividends, because I'm not an investor, I don't have any shares in them.
Right.
There's the rules. Yeah, and there's tons, it's just, you can't just guess at this, you just have to be taught.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah, sure.
Let's say I'm a shareholder, I buy normal public shares of Coca-Cola and they pay dividends.
Yep.
Right? If I get a dividend and I have income.
Yep.
So when I'm not like I'm a shareholder, so will I also be taxed differently on that small $2 dividend?
It's called a T5. If you show up in a T5, it goes on the dividend tax page, it's T5 on the personal return. And you get the,
Oh, right.
there's a gross up, there's a tax credit, and then the final taxable amount. So, but it's always better. Dividends are fantastic. I love it. Yeah. I've never made a salary for my company. It's insane. I think CPP and EI, bi-weekly remittance to the government, income tax withheld. I'm a bookkeeper for the government for free. No. It's insane. That's nuts. Biggest question, when you incorporate, of course, when your profits, not your revenue, not your sales, not your forecast, when it's 50,000 a year or more, when your profits, then it makes sense to incorporate. I don't care if you're a fisherman or an insurance sales or tax guy, it doesn't matter. It's a straight number, $50,000 profit. Okay, so revenue, expenses, profit, right? That's how it works. Let's talk about some expenses, but everyone asks about what can I write off? I'll give you a teaser. Okay. Supplies, current supplies, wherever you bought this year, if you're self-employed or incorporated, and past. And there's a big confusion. It's something called fair market value. So let's say this is my laptop, and I'm just an employee today, but tomorrow I work with World Financial Group. Well, now I can write this computer off. So now it's a work computer. But I bought it 3 years ago. I don't have a receipt. It's just from my house. Fair market value is I go on the internet. I find the exact same size, shape, all the specs, whatever the hardware is in the middle, and say, okay, it's worth this much. I print off that page, has a date, the date, the dollar amount, and a description of what it is. It's a receipt. I can write it off. Deal with furniture, electronics, equipment, artwork. Don't do a $5 stapler. It's a bit of a waste of time.
So I'm a plumber and I bought my van for my business before I started my business.
Right.
Would it be possible to
Do it.
do something like
If it
that?
was the year before, do it.
Like, yeah, and it was like 2020. Could I still do it
Yep.
for?
Fair market value, just go online and say, hey, this tool or this equipment, but made by this manufacturer, what's it worth today? Print it out.
Okay.
Now, like Kijiji and Craigslist are the cheapest, so don't go there.
Yeah.
Retail stores are the more expensive. Antique store is the best. If you can get, I don't know if you have antique bills. But retail stores.
Yeah.
They always mark up it. Get something, just print off fair market value. That's it. You make your own receipts.
Yeah.
Again, the rules are fun.
Yeah.
Travel. Travel is the most abused of all the columns. Basically, it's, you have a receipt from there. So let's say I go to Toronto for a tax conference or customer in trouble, whatever. Everything, so plane ticket, whatever's there. So ground transportation, hotel, meals, entertainment, whatnot. As it turns out, whenever I travel, I'm the most unlucky guy. For baggage handlers, you don't lose your luggage, but they wreck it. They put a forklift time through it or something. I can now buy new clothes.
Oh.
Or I bought, this one I did, I was crowning a $500 bottle of cognac for someone in Toronto, business trip to Toronto, for someone to train me. It was just, couldn't love the guy more. It mistakenly wound up in my suitcase on my home. Yeah, it happens. So travel's fun. Instead of depreciating a new computer, get one on travel, bring it back. It's on the travel column 100%. You have to depreciate over years. Oh, there's all sorts of abuse. Travels, but the politicians screwed up way back when Chrétien was in power. Pamela Wallin, Mike Duffy, and a French guy named Brachard. Pamela Wallin, in one 3-day business trip, bought 9 dresses and 9 pairs of shoes. She's not a runway model. So why the hell do you need 9 dresses and 9 pairs of shoes? The Auditor General didn't like her and said, how'd you reschedule all the meetings? And she went, what? You, as a guy, go into a store, pair of pants, 2 shirts, and you're good for 3 days. A lady, I'm sorry to be stereotypical, 9 dresses and 9 pairs of shoes is not one store. It's not 1 hour. How'd you reschedule all the meetings? She did. It was a shopping trip. That's all it was. She got fired. Of course, Trudeau hired her back because it's a good use of our money. Yeah. So that travel's fun, but do it gently. So 1 trip alcohol, 1 trip clothing, 1 trip electronics. Spread it out a bit. Marketing and advertising. This is anything to get your name or your phone number or your website or your knowledge out there. Could be anything. Could be bottles of wine at Christmas, whatever you like. Pretty open. Meals entertainment, that one unfortunately has the do not get out of jail on it. Trudeau brought in something new. I'll take you out to lunch. I want you as a tax customer. I can help you out, blah, blah, blah. When I take the receipt home, I have to put your name, your contact information, and the reason for the meeting. Because civil servants in Ottawa know everything and they can decide if that's valid or not. A customer, husband and wife from Russia, going through the bookkeeping training in February, and they said, we don't do that. We're from communists. I know. That's Trudeau. Communist countries don't do this.
Isn't that some kind of client privacy that you're going against if you put the telephone number on the receipt?
But that's.
Only a lawyer who's on retainer has that. That's it. In Canada, no.
When did they actually call them to verify that?
Oh, the others,
The auditors.
the CRA is now the largest entity in Canadian history, 60,000 employees at CRA alone. Horrific overhead, horrific overhead. Just our taxes will have to raise 6% just to pay the salaries for the tax collector. That's not efficient. Get Elon Musk up here. Yeah. Car, you can drive for a percentage of your car, which is when you purchase it, lease it, you depreciate it, gas, repairs, you name it. Again, there's rules around that, but easy to show you. Special development, training, anything you do that you pay for that trains you. It doesn't have to be industry specific. It can be time management, customer retention, anything, as long as it's not like origami classes. I'm good, but I'm not that good. I can't defend that. Depreciation on all assets. If you can touch it, so it's car, computers, office decor, so any painting you have in your office or anything like that, all can be deducted.
Does the car have to be under the incorporations?
No. Reimbursement. I, Dalton, the human, as a shareholder, own the car. 60% of the car was used for the corporation. 60% is reimbursed tax-free. 60% of my gas is paid to me tax-free. I don't need a taxable income to do it. I get it reimbursed. So I put on my credit card. Every month I do my bookkeeping, I get a reimbursement. So before my credit card bill is due, I get the reimbursement. So 6% of my car, 95% of my phone, 50% of my internet, 20% of my house, all that's coming back tax-free. Then I do the dividends. So I do it 1 e-transfer called reimbursement, 1 e-transfer from corporate to personal called dividend. That's my bookkeeping is 2 emails. Yeah.
And how much for rent you can give?
There's rules, yeah, that'll take till. Yes,
Just for the car usage, if you decide you spend 60% or whatever, do you have to back it up with knowledge?
it's called a travel log, yeah.
Yeah.
It's called a P, that's a PITA. I don't know if you heard the term PITA before, PITA. It's comes from the tax world, it means pain in the ass. And that's travel log. Horrible.
It's easier
Horrible.
to Google Maps now.
There's many apps, but again, from the house to there, but they usually, if it's just a one place, they say, they call you an employee and they try to deny it. So again, there's rule, yeah, there's, if you're left-handed and it's Wednesday.
Best is you log your appointments on the schedule, and then that way you know the location you've been, and then if they check, you can say, hey, this day, I was here, right?
It's, yeah, there's many ways of doing it. I use just the paper in the glove compartment.
So
I do old school because I have to remember it, and it's, if I get to the house,
Yeah.
I'll be doing, put the groceries away or whatever the hell I'm doing, so yeah, it's a deal. Wine. Although there's 2 hours of bookkeeping training rules, they can be very simple. So for example, 4 bottles of wine is called gift. It's a 50% column. So let's say I spent $100, I can only record $50 in the tax return. If I buy 5 bottles of wine, it's called a promotion, which is 100%. So 4 bottles of wine's bad, 5 bottles of wine's good. That's bookkeeping rules. It changes how you buy things. So that's just, I thought that was a fun one. Yeah.
Is that also on other items as well, aside from wine?
Oh, God, yeah, this, I'm just using it because everyone,
But 5 toys.
exactly, if you have clients with kids, frisbees, baseballs, hula hoops, just 5 things. The rule is 4 versus 5, that's all I'm trying, yeah. It could be gift cards, it could be lamps, hats, stress balls, shirts, anything you want, as long as it's tangible.
Last question, so the meals and entertainment, is that the one that's the most strict
Yep.
column, and everything else is more?
Yeah, what they do, it's Trudeau took it from corporations, so most corporations, they have sales reps, outside sales reps.
Yeah.
And they have a reimbursement plan for that, they want to see who you took out. It makes sure, so it's not family and friends, that's pretty much what the companies want to do.
Right.
Trudeau did that nationally, but there's no change to the Income Tax Act, so legally it's not a law, there's no statute you can quote. But he instructed CRA to do it and reject the expense, which makes it such a PITA, you don't fight it. So it's easier just to comply with the emperor has no clothes mentality than to fight it. Because if you go to tax court, it costs money and time and, yeah. So just. I'm telling you rules that don't exist now.
So
Do they
just
require
buy them
that?
wine and don't take them out. For,
Just only stick with wine, don't go to a restaurant, you're fine.
yeah.
But do they require that in a soft audit? So like they require you for the name, phone number, all that stuff on a soft audit? If they,
What's a soft audit?
doesn't CRA have 2 levels when they audit you, is a soft audit and then a hard one? And then like they say, hey, give us some of this information.
Oh, sorry, the request for information is 1 or
Yeah.
2 columns.
Yeah.
An audit is everything. Yeah, okay, soft audit. I've never heard that term, but yeah, there's
Soft
request for
audit, do they
information.
require that? Do they
Oh,
require
yeah,
that?
if they ask for a restaurant, otherwise we'll just deny it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I'm
no
not
logic.
voting.
Hey, one question. With regards to the wine, I have a manager for my apartment building, I give wine. Can I deduct that as expenses?
Well, here's,
Instead of giving a bonus money, I give wine.
here's the fun thing about wine. I buy alcohol once a year. I do give out to clients and people who refer people and so forth. I give out, but I also buy all mine at the same time, but it's on one receipt.
Right.
You can't separate, you can't pull it out. So I just save up. You don't have to give all the wine away that day, that week, that month, even that year. You give away whenever the heck you want. It's when you buy it. Yes, then one receipt. So I do it once a year.
Yeah.
I do it at Christmas.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
So
you
give
were
it to
hoping-
whoever you want, as long
But
as
you
you bury the
you
number and
you
say,
have
hey,
to buy 5 bottles of wine.
or
so you
more.
get more.
more.
Or more. I've never gone under 40 because it's dangerous. Because if you buy 5, who'd you give it to? You must remember 1. It's too small, right? So I try to bury it like a school of fish. I try to bury it in a massive number. And I wait all year to do it. So,
You're their best customer.
Yeah.
Well, you have to
Wine
call
store,
ahead, you have
yeah,
to call
yeah.
ahead to make sure they have, if they put the order together.
I heard you
have to
just
put the
mentioned
name
about
on?
the gift card, so
Yeah.
it is recommended by 5 gift card at the same time.
I go 100, before COVID, I was doing 100, like a crowd like this, I'd wing a few into the audience. I'd buy 100, like $10, like these aren't massive, like 10, maybe $15. Things like Costco or Real Canadian or No Frills, just food and tires, whatever you want. So I'd wing out 4, 5, maybe 10 of them. The other 90 was my groceries. But it was on one receipt. It was once a year at
What
Christmas.
is it?
I did one gift card and one alcohol run at Christmas. That was it. And this is not a law. I'm just suggesting. So what I'm gonna say next is not a law. CRA audited me 1 year and they said, well, it's an awful lot. I said, well, I can't drink this. I'll be dead. No, obviously I'm giving it away. And they said, it looks very suspicious. And I said, do you have a problem with me being a Christian? And they backed off. I went, oh, they're afraid of religion. So
Oh.
whatever, yeah. No, they backed away. They don't want to be, they want to be politically correct or whatever.
Oh.
There's no law. I just found out that line. That's fine. This is good.
From religion, if that-
Make one up, yeah, do that.
Question about the travel though, so in order to claim that, do I need to prove that it's business related or?
Yes, perfect question. The reason, it could be a high school reunion or a relative's wedding, all that is nice, but the reason for the trip must be business related. So before you get the ticket and the hotel and everything, you have to buy tickets to the convention or have emails to set up XYZ meetings. So I can go, let's say it's 2 days business. So the day before is travel, the day after is travel. And I tacked on 4 more days because it's Vegas or whatever. You just don't write off the food and hotel for those 4 days. You can write off everything else. Yeah, because the plane has to get you there and back, no matter if you're taking personal time or not. But yeah,
What if
the
you
key
set up
is.
one meeting during those extra 4 days, one meeting per day?
Oh, if that's all you could do, yes, if that's the way it had to be done. See? I love imagination. Here we go. All the filmmakers are coming out.
Well, for renting the vehicle, like I say, you have a couple days extra, so you just don't claim these days.
The personal ones, right, but if you screw up the meetings.
Yeah.
you're on. This country's gonna be bankrupt forever. We're never paying taxes anymore. Follow the rules.
Right?
Home office. CRA, there's 4 methods allowed by law. CRA always says percentage of square footage, which is the worst way to do it. So
Yeah.
the smaller the deduction, the larger the tax, right? Can take bookkeeping training, I'll show you the other one, it takes you 3 minutes. Oh, it's obvious, but you have to be shown. So don't use percentage of square footage. If someone tells you that, they're listening to CRA and they're not following the income tax act. So just this little hit, there's like, again, guys like me, we're not all trained the same. So just 'cause someone has a title doesn't mean a lot. What do they know?
You say, don't use percentage. Oh,
Number.
Tells me.
I do. Build number of rooms. And there's a process involved, and no matter what CRA audits you, they can't add rooms to your home. They just can't build things on your house. So if you use number of rooms method, it's perfect, it's bulletproof, can't touch it.
The open concept works really well for that.
There's rules. I have one room, 100%.
It goes some 10 million directions here.
Again, always record your expenses, whether you're self-employed or corporate, because self-employed carries forward 3 years, corporate never expires. It's called a negative retained earning on a corporate return. Again, Hudson Bay may actually, there might be a 99-year limit on this, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. The rest of us will die well before it expires, so always record it. So example, first year you have 5,000 revenue for whatever reason, first year, or just a rough year, or a family issue or whatever, 10,000 expenses, 5,000 is used, 5,000 carried forward for the next 3 years or forever your corporate. Same thing as I said, but in writing. Yeah.
I have a question. So let's say if I want to pay myself like a reimbursement from incorporation, and you said that expenses never expire for incorporations. Is there like, does it overlap? So like, what if it's 2 years, 3 years later, I just want to pay myself for 2020, Like a reimbursement.
Perfect question, because I have a client who only gets reimbursements every 3 years. His cash flow is such that he doesn't need it.
Mhm.
So he just waits up and it's a monster. It's one e-transfer, boom, it goes through. That's it. So every 3 years, you can do, it's your corporation, do whatever you want. I'm sure there's someone with 10 years.
So
It
there
just-
is
it
no
just
time
builds
limit.
up. It's, once it's on the corporate return, it's always there. It's called due to shareholder. And it's on the balance sheet and it never goes anywhere until you pay it off.
Oh, I see.
So no one forgets about it.
You should, basically, you're saying you should just record that expense in the corporate tax return, basically.
And personal.
And personal.
Personal carries forward 3 years, corporate is forever. But it does get carried forward. What I'm trying to show is it always gets carried forward. So say, well, I only made $5,000. I can't have more than 5,000 expenses. No, record all 10,000. Whole thing's written up. You can use it now or next year or next year or next. Yeah.
No, I can't pay like a reimbursement if I didn't record it 3 years ago, right?
You have to record it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's good. How can you reimburse something that didn't happen? On paper, right? On paper.
Right.
They say, well, you had 5,000 expenses and you're trying to reimburse 10,000.
Like even if I
Doesn't
record
exist.
it personally, it won't work after recording the corporate side, right?
How long must you keep receipts? Let's have some fun. Little class quiz. No. Next.
One year.
No.
Forever?
No.
Never.
My goodness. It's like the price is right. 10 million.
Years.
Never.
Five.
No,
5 years.
no.
5 years.
Terrible. When Canada was formed, all the provinces joined together to form the Confederation of Canada. They said federal government can collect provincial taxes from our citizens and give it back in transfer payments. That's all that happens, right? It's much easier if you have one tax collector, shoom, and give it back to the provinces per their contribution. The provinces all said the same thing. You must follow the current Collections Act, which is 6 returns
Yeah.
or 7 calendar years, because we always do a return a year late, right?
Right.
So it's 7 calendar years. Everyone knows that. Every bank, every credit card, and every stock brokerage keeps all records for 7 years and they destroy it. Soft copy, hard copy. I got divorced and I had money before I met the terrible lady. Guess what happened? There was no records that I had the money before I met her. I had to share it. That was assault in the room. That was disgusting. So I don't like a lot of things about the system. Because I had to give money that I made before I even met her. Oh, my brain just,
Did you have to do?
I'm in Monty Python now, like this doesn't make.
Logic doesn't work.
It doesn't,
Yeah.
it's no logic, just the rules. So. What Trudeau did was, in 2016, he changed one word in the Income Tax Act. He changed the word mistake for malicious. Malicious is a criminal act, 30-year timeframe. Then, Christopher Freeland in the 2021 election, in October, during the election, she actually announced if the vendor, the bookkeeper, the taxpayer, or the tax preparer make a mistake, it's an error tantamount to negligence. Negligence is a criminal act.
Oh, God.
30 years. So I said, I'm paranoid. What do you think? Why think you do something like that?
Collect more taxes
Right? But how? What? 30 years
through audits.
inheritances.
Yeah.
When I die, my daughter will inherit my estate. She is now legally responsible for any tax issued, taxes owing on the estate.
Right.
Everyone assumes once you get a clearance certificate, right, and you clear, then you can hand out and distribute to the beneficiaries.
7 years.
30.
So now my daughter has to keep 30 years of my external hard drives, paperwork to prove I filed my returns correctly. Now, what if I didn't have a kid and gave it to a church or a charity? How the heck? He's logistically retarded. I do not like this guy because, so I said, okay, maybe I'm just paranoid. I'm just going crazy. 5 wills and estates lawyers. They changed their own wills by the time I called them. They can see what's coming. This is exactly what it's to attack inheritances, which are tax-free right now. That's our system. Very, very predatory.
Communist.
Cover your buns. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yes, segregated fund.
So,
Oh, goodness.
yeah.
The answer is.
30.
30.
And the thing is, the 30 years after you're dead, because the last return you did, it's 30 years after then. Not when you die. It's not just in your lifetime. So it's your beneficiaries. And if it's not a family member, like a religion or a charity.
Everest and.
What kind of
Tencent,
system
guys.
is that?
We need Everest
The
and
joke here I
Tencent.
wanted to add is that the receipt might not even last for 30 years
You
because
got it, you
some
got
of the
it.
receipts,
Yeah.
Heat impression, it's
Yeah.
toasting the pig, it's not ink.
yeah, just
Heat impression.
goes white.
It goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, does it
That's
have
our system.
physical?
So does
I
it
thought
work?
bank statements, doesn't bank statements work?
What I've done is taken bank statements, credit card statements, I keep the PDF, and
Yeah,
I back those up.
Okay.
It's, a receipt is called, principal certain, the name for a receipt. A credit card and bank statement is called a proof of purchase. This is the original, that's number one. Legally, the Tax Credit Canada will accept credit card and bank statements if there's nothing else, like pay by phone parking. There is no stick it,
Yeah.
right? So by law, because the only reason CRA was forced to accept things like that is because if they don't accept as a receipt from me as an expense, it's not taxable revenue to the company who issued it. So they had to do both sides of the equation. So that now they're accepting proof of purchase, bank statements and credit cards, bank credit card, stuff like that. So I'm keeping those every month. It's a good point. That's why the bookkeeping takes 2 hours. There's just so much rules of cover your buns mentality.
Oh, no, just,
Oh,
so you do scan the receipts, that's what I.
I don't scan the receipts. That's
Oh.
way too much time and money. I just keep the proof of payment.
Proof of pay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's
that's
just so much work. I don't get audited every year.
Because I look at my assistant actually to key in monthly all the receipts into a spreadsheet, and that goes
Yeah.
together with my, my
Yeah.
accountant.
They don't, I
Is
can put,
that, is that backup?
no, the Excel, like I put all mine in Excel. They don't care. I could have made that last night. They want proof. Original source document, that, I knew that.
Original source.
Receipt's called an original source document.
So even
And,
if they fight.
It's going, it's tax code.
Yeah, but it's white. Can you see all the ink?
Yeah.
There's no logic behind this. There's no.
But I have the paper, here's the receipt.
You know what's weird on the back, there's always like, Best Buy or whatever, that's in ink. Their advertising's in ink, but the actual receipt part isn't, it's
Get
the
it.
impression.
Get e-receipts now that, they just file it, I file it all.
Or you can get one of your kids with a pen, it's fun, it's like friendly. Sit with the pen right over the numbers, it's
Draw the line.
all wrong.
You could.
Kids,
The responsibility is yours to keep your receipts intact, right?
Yep.
So.
and you did, legally you did, so that's the law, and you did, give you a blank piece of paper.
So before they
Not my
change,
problem.
before they change to 30 years, what happens if you, like, is there a time where there's a date that we changed it so that you didn't have to save them?
That's logic. No, when you're being picked on by a bully, they're not trying to play fair. It's predatory. It's abuse, it's theft, a lot of words I could use. Still my cat, because there's nice people here, but yeah, it's. I think of him more like a Viking. He comes, rapes, pillages, burns, and leaves. Not here to help. That's pretty much our system. Like, this isn't helping Canada. Pay off debt, clean the lakes, educate children. There's no benefit to this. It's just take more money to hire more civil servants. And I'll go offside for a second, but you ever hear of GDP, gross domestic product? Okay. What's the last word? Gross domestic product. What we produce. People like Trudeau do something and it's just bastardizing the whole idea. I was advanced economics university. So what he does is say, we take a record of all the GDP, this is what we produce, right? But if you hire, let's say there's 10 people, you all make $10 each, so your economy is $100. There's only $100 in existence. We hire one civil servant, and we tax you $1 each. So,
I'm getting.
so now the GDP is 110. No, there's only $100 that physically exists. Oh.
oh, that's the worst
Ah,
one.
Are you gonna come on? Okay. So what they do on the books is they say the GDP is 110. Wow, that's mathematically, it's physically impossible. There's only $100 that exists. You hire enough civil servants, and suddenly your economy is growing. No, it's negative GDP. You're actually going poor, bankrupt. And now instead of 10 people supporting one, you have 10 people supporting 10. Hold on. That's a real bad economy. That's garbage. You can't. Because it's not producing anything, you're not mining anything or growing anything in a farm, you're not producing anything with wood or art or music or athletic, something that's being actually made from new. You're just taking 5 from you, giving it to her, well, that's redistribution and double counting. That's a problem with the GDP
And I'm
numbers.
getting taxed on it.
And you're, it's just, it's a circle, yeah. Now, just let you know, you have to dig below the titles, because Trudeau loves to brag, we have the largest GDP growth. No, you just hired more civil servants, that's not growth, that's negative. That will hurt you, because 5 years from now, their office, they need new computers, they need to learn French, they need to get their medical plan, oh, they retire, they need a pension. That's ridiculous overhead for me. I don't like it. Now, kids, what's the other name for kids?
Dependents.
No, that's the
Labor,
wrong way. The other way.
labor,
Huh?
labor,
Yeah, there we go.
labor.
They're contractors. My daughter is my contractor. There's a ton of work for me. Horrible of it. Now, $15,000 is tax-free, right? $15,000 is your personal base tax credit. So my daughter makes $15,000 a year. Not the same every month. That looks like an employee. So she's a contractor. She's self-employed. No expenses. That's pushing it. So I should have a home office. I don't do that. So 1 month is $1,000, 1 month is $2,000, 1 month is $750. I keep playing with it. And that's pretty much our groceries. Comes out of my pocket, goes to her, but now it's tax-free. It's an expense to me, so I don't pay tax on it now.
And then she gets a working tax credit.
Now she gets built up for RSP and she gets, yeah.
How old is
At
the
what
kid
age
actually?
can that start?
Well, yeah.
Newborn.
I would suggest double digits, like 10 is a good start. Legally, if like retail stores have to get a special dispensation from the premier of the province if you're 13 or younger. But if it's your family and it's not like in a retail or industrial setting, I'd say I felt good about 10. You'll guess for it, honestly, just a feeling.
What if they've already moved out?
So I just want to reconfirm that this is all under if you're incorporated.
No, self-employed, incorporated, same way.
No, so self-employed.
Both, yeah.
Which we all are.
Avoid these common costly mistakes. Not knowing the rules. Don't use logic. Do not look at the CRA website. It's not a good idea. They are a collection agency. They're not there to help you. 1 ounce of alcohol, and I will talk for 18 hours straight about the horror stories I've seen with my clients over the years. They're not there to help you. Homelessness, loss of job, and not enough money for food doesn't bother them. Remember, government sends people to war. The killer be killed. They don't care about what's called your feelings. Not a big deal. Giving receipts to an accountant once a year. Brushing your teeth the night before the dentist appointment once a year is not a good idea. You get to know the rules. Do it once a month. Keep your receipts. I just keep a hanging folder. I shove them in. I don't sort them by month or by gas supplies. I don't care about that. I just keep them up. Okay? But if you give it to an accountant once a year, it means you're not thinking about it. And you expect him to figure out what was a supply. Is this a business meeting? Is this what? How the hell do they know? And remember, accountants and the bookkeepers at tax season, we're doing about 20-hour days. Try to crank out the returns. So if you don't have this ready ahead of time, he's not going to spend a lot of time going through what, 1,000 receipts. Yeah, he's going to go. Well, last year was $1,100. Gas was up 10%. Hey, $1,200 in gas. He's going to guess. I'm not kidding. You have to. It's just physically impossible to go beyond 24 hours in a day. And you can't hire bookkeepers because where are they going to come from? And, yeah, not going to happen. Wait until tax season to do bookkeeping. Every month, once a month, half an hour, or pay a bookkeeper to do it, but stay on top of it because you'll lose a lot of things if you're not there. It's like shoveling snow once a year. Well, Vancouver probably, I'm from Manitoba, not a good idea. Not claiming expenses, didn't make enough. Again, 3 years, pays forward as self-employed, forever if you're incorporated, so always record it. Okay? Ratio mistakes, car, phone, and home. Sarah loves to pick on these because a lot of people don't know what they're doing. They don't have a travel log. The phone is always up for contention, and the house. They will always pick on it because they know you don't know the rules. Not getting money out of the corporation cleanly. Again, reimbursements first, then dividends. A lot of people just take money out and they call it self-employment income. Well, you're paying more on your personal tax return. It's a lot of bad ways to get money out. If you're trained, and cleanly also means when you do the transfer, there's a memo line. And this is what I do. October 2024, dividend to shareholder Dalton Greene. That's my account, and it's all obvious, but the auditor, who's the CRA auditor 10 years from now, who looks at this, there's no discussion, there's no reinterpretation, it's idiot proof. That's how you get money out of the corporation cleanly. So make big notes like that. I do all my e-transfers, idiot proof memos. I don't have your GST. When Mulrooney brought in GST in the 1980s, it was to tax foreign imports versus Canadians. So if you have a GST number, let's say on my sales, I brought in $1,000 in GST, right? I took in. Let's say on my expenses and training, my house, my car, my phone, my supplies, travel, I spent $1,100. I took in 1,000, spent 11, I get $100 back. It's zero balances. You cannot make money or lose money on GST. It always zeroes out. It's never out of me. So like if you're in a company in Canada, self-employed or incorporated or partnership, GST doesn't exist. It's gone. PST is collect PST, give it to the Ministry of Finance. That's part. So a lot of provinces merge the two together, called HST, harmonized sales tax. You take the 5% GST which exists, whatever your province's PST is, put them together. So in BC, that's 12%. As a business owner, I don't have 12%. But on April 1st, 2013, this province voted out HST. And they celebrated, going, hey, we just lost 7%. And I'm from Manitoba thinking, how much marijuana is in this province? Because math doesn't make sense anymore. You guys were happy, you voted out zero balancing 7%. Why? I want to know why. Crazy. I never understood that. So if HST, if a premier who knows math, the current one doesn't, but if a premier ever comes back that understands math, bring back HST, please. Every other province that has it loves it, because if you have a company, I'm zero balancing 12%, not just 5%, and I'm losing 7% now. I don't like losing 7%. That's a lot of money. So, oh, this one. I've heard this mangled so many times. Back in the 1980s, when Mulrooney brought this in, the home office didn't exist anywhere near the same extent it does today. It was retail or industrial. So the break-even point was $30,000. So if your revenue is $30,000, you're probably breaking even with your expenses. By law, you must get a GST number, because if you're even, no problem. But if you take in 30,000 GST and you spent 10, they want that 20. So 30,000 or more, you're going to pay GST that you collected. 30,000 or less, you're going to get a GST refund. So by law, 30,000, you must get a GST number. Well, CRA mangled that and said, no, you can't get a GST number until your revenue's at $30,000. So they're telling you, forgive all the refunds, ignore them, and just play the game when you have to pay us. What kind of dick? Well, that's the CRA. That's that. Like, that's just rude. So a lot of people say you don't need one, or it's paperwork's too difficult, or I'm not eligible. But no, they want a gold mine. When do you think they actually pull gold out of a mine? Probably year 10. Because you have guys running around the bush looking for the ore. And you have to build in a road or a railway, and you have to get drill holes, and you have to get engineers, and you have to get a town built. And I come from a mine town. It takes about 10 years for ounce number 1 comes out of the ground properly. You don't start recording expenses then. You're probably $50 million in debt by then. So same thing with your self-employment, same with your corporation. You get a GST number on day 1. Doesn't matter what your sales are. You'll get a refund because you're paying GST as a company, you get it back. Okay, you want to zero balance this at all. My clients, when I do bookkeeping training, I'll give you a script. Here's a number to call, here's what to say, and here's what not to say, because CRA is trying to say no to you. They're going to wait till you're at 30,000. So if you're at 30,000, great. If you're just starting off, get the GST now anyway. I just give you a little script, just a Word document, 1 page. Say this, don't say that. That's what I do for my clients, because it's a nasty game. Was HST, why it's great? We did that. Okay, where to put your savings? Oh, there's so many places. This is a registered trademark. I'm so proud of it. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. I don't care what your gross revenue is. doesn't mean a darn thing. Your expenses and your taxes will decide what you can save, invest, play with. Or give away as inheritance, whatever. It's what you keep that counts. I can't help you make money. That's what these guys here help you with. I help you keep it. I know the other side of the question. There's real estate. And of course, the question is what country? Because real estate here may or may not be taxed appropriately. There's a stock market. If you know Warren Buffett, look at the Buffett index. It's really important. You know, at 18, he says, get the hell out. Right now, we're at 200. Probably a little hot. Gold, that's worked for 10,000 years. I like that. Silver's pretty good. Right now, every last 6,000 years, you could buy 20 ounces of silver, could buy 1 ounce of gold. Right now, it's 84 ounces of silver, buys 1 ounce of gold. We have some market distortion here, mostly because, well, I'd say London and New York, probably the big two that are doing that. What's it called? Solar panels, cell phones, electric vehicles, massive users of silver. It's an industrial metal, not just a bullion metal. So, what's the difference between Chinese solar panels and Canadian solar panels? 300% change in silver. Chinese solar panels use three times as much silver, much better, much more energy because they put in the silver. We don't because we're cheap and we get crappy silver. That's why I can't replace oil and gas with that. It's because we're cheap on silver. Offshore. I have offshore corporation, offshore bank account because I like to pay tax once. And that's it. So that's an option depending. You don't have to have $1 million to this, believe me. You don't need it. In one case, maybe $10,000 set the whole thing up. And then you can have a channel to say, after I pay my Canadian taxes, my retained earnings are gone. And I openly state that because of the law, there's so many laws that, yeah, I know I'm being recorded, you at home. If you have a corporation, you need a holdco. Holdco is like a bank account for the corporation because there's too many rules to explain right now. If you sell your corporation, you're not eligible for lifetime capital gains exemption of 1.25 million per shareholder unless certain conditions are met. So a lot of companies get a holdco, which is just a bank account. I put my insurance policy there. Oh, from Allison Seton. Yeah, that's your picture of it. My corporation is a massive 50,000 a year or something through the corporation. Just it's pretty good. My holdco owns that insurance. It owns all my cash. I just transfer it over, and then I pay my bills through that. Yeah, a lot of rules. But if you have a corporation and you're thinking of selling before you die, you need a holdco.
Can you just give like a 2-minute explanation of what a life insurance in a holdco means to you? How are you saving money and saving taxes on that?
Sure. But I'm gonna get the name wrong. I don't know much. I don't know enough about insurance yet.
Great.
Whole life, I think.
Yes.
Oh, whole life. Okay. My corporation buys 50,000 whole life now. Whole life's black box from the tax world. CRA can't figure out which is investment and which is insurance.
Right.
So the whole thing's a write-off. So my corporation writes off that amount as a deduction. So that's clean. After 10 years or something, I can borrow back X amount of it. So I'm writing off every year. Then I can borrow it back and do whatever the hell I want because it's tax, it's a loan that's not repayable. I forget about it, like that, whatever the proper term is. And then my daughter has a life insurance policy when I drop it. So it's very nice. Insurance, I keep saying I have to learn a lot more about insurance products. Then Trudeau changes the damn rules again. I never have the time to play.
For
But
those of you guys who own a corporation, it's a great strategy for saving taxes and
Oh,
money.
massive. When Allison, after about the first 8 minutes, when can I buy it? How do I buy it? Just, I could see the tax implications right away. So if you're with World Financial Group, obviously this is a selling point. I'm a tax guy, it makes sense, and I'm a customer. It's just brilliant. Yeah.
As an accountant, from an accounting perspective, what would be, do you need some sort of track record over a period of years in your retained earnings before you actually consider if you can do the whole life in the whole group?
No.
Do you recommend that?
Year one. Yep, there's no difference. There's no criteria or prerequisite rules to get insurance for individual or corporation. So self-employed or corporate, yeah, with corporation, just wanted to, like the reimbursement mentality, I wanted to avoid it.
Yeah.
Anything touching my personal tax return. That was the whole goal behind it. Yeah.
Okay.
No. why choose us? Again, for planning, not just keep this receipt or I'll do your return. Well, and a lot of people can do that. I'm telling you why. If you know the rules, why you'll buy things differently. When you buy things differently, then you're protected and it's much lower taxes. 20+ years of doing this for self-employed and corporations, a ton of audit experience, unfortunately, because CRA's Tester Canada trained, divorce court. Ex-spouses, for some reason, I'll use myself as an example. For some reason, she thought I made $1 million a month and wanted the spousal support based on that. If I had $1 million a month, I wouldn't be in the country. I'd avoid divorce court altogether. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's stupid. So, but you have to prove yourself. So based on that, I started training with the bookkeepers, and now we're helping our clients show reality to the family law judges, because the allegations, there's no perjury in family law. So an ex-spouse can say whatever the hell they want. That's the problem. And it makes sense, because if someone's an abuser or an alcoholic or is all the money away or hurts kids, you have to be able to be not afraid to say it. But if you know this and there's no penalty for lying, that unfortunately happens as well. So I can see why they're doing it, to protect kids and women get hit and whatnot. But if you're just a bad actor, yeah.
But if someone says you're earning $1 million a month, well, shouldn't they have to prove it? Why should you have to, isn't it innocent?
So I have to go through and prove with years of bank statements and credit card and tax returns. So it piddles away my time and money versus doing something useful. Oh, yeah. So my bookkeepers are now.
There's.
Oh, no, that's American TV. That's bad advice. You know what works? After now, trust. My corporations, everything I own is in a trust. So I'm just the trustee. I don't own it. So even if I get married again, nothing, even during the course of the marriage, because I don't own it. It's in a trust. That's a shield I was looking for. I didn't know that before. So I'm telling you what my daughter's gonna have before she gets married. I trust and her company. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I'm gonna trust. My divorce lawyer said that's all the only thing you have. You learn. The rules. I have rules. I didn't know that one. Yeah, for our provinces, bookkeeping training, 2 hours, monthly newsletter, and it comes with tax planning. Terribly important stuff. Now, I'll answer any question you feel comfortable asking in a group setting. Like, I'm just saying, like, bear trust, because a lot of us think about that again this year. But anything goes, I'm wide open. And because this is new to me, I got a quick read code or a quick response code. And I put my little, I thought it was good. I got a new website. So I'm gonna leave that there because I'm happy with it. Any question, could be self-employed, could be corporate, it could be expense related, anything like that.
At what income level, for many of us haven't incorporated yet, I have, but at what income level does it make sense?
Profit of 50,000. Not, again, it's not revenue or sales. Profit. And this is consistent. So the good thing about corporations, you don't have to be January 1st, December 31st. A corporation can have a fiscal year of any time. So if you incorporate April 30th, your corporation could be, May 1st to June, April 30th. And you can just, if you know the next 12 months are going to be large, you can incorporate now in anticipation of it to protect that money. So you don't have to wait till January. Yes.
What if you have a whole co and it's used also not just it's for investments and things like that?
Yeah,
property assets, things like that.
That's where you want to do it. You want to put in the whole code, not in your opco, your operating company.
And so how would the cap gains, the new cap gains changes, affect that it is not just, money assets as well as property assets?
There's the lifetime capital gains exemption of 1.25 million for shareholder on the opco. The capital gains. Here's the other problem with the rules. Because the SDTC $400 million theft scandal, Pierre Poilievre said that's enough. We're not doing this again like the SNC and all the other scandals that went through. So he's saying, and he got the Speaker of the House and the RCMP saying, give us unredacted documents. The Liberal government said, no, charter rights and freedoms is their defense. And as the other three parties have found out, Bloc Québécois, NDP, and Conservatives all said in the House of Commons, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is to protect us from the government, not the government from the police. So evil predatory crap's happening right now. So our House of Commons is now suspended. They can't put any new horrible laws through, which we're sort of happy about. I don't mind it being suspended with this particular administration. But also means the capital gains inclusion rate from 50% to 66.7% hasn't passed. It's not a law. Which means the tax software has not been updated because it's not a law. Nothing's happened with it. So what do I tell clients? Pay it and leave it in a bank account at the CRA, or not pay it and pay interest penalties later if it becomes a law, or if it gets voted out, it won't become a law. We got the circle of stupid again going, make a clean law, just do your job. I don't know what to tell clients half the time because Trudeau will come out and say 10 things, 3 might become law. But if I didn't tell them about these 3 and I told them about these 3, well, they made the wrong decisions with their money and they didn't protect themselves. And it's a horrible position. I don't like this guy. For a lot of reasons, I don't like this guy because I don't tell you a lot of times. Because I don't want to give you all the 10. Because I've learned, don't give you 10. In the newsletters, I don't give you that because 3 might become real. But when? So.
I have a client who has a business registered here in Canada, but recently he also does business now in Mexico, and he's considering doing business in his home country, Indonesia. What would be your best suggestion in this case where international business and tax becomes an issue?
Okay.
Would it be that he?
I don't know Indonesian and Mexican tax rules, but I do know Canada's damn near the highest. Does he have? Does he need, because of an industry or whatever, does he need to have Canadian bank account and Canadian corporation, or can his Canadian clients just e-transfer to another account?
Everything is here right now, but he's wondering if there are any tax exemptions or tax issues he should plan for due to international business. So it's an IT solution type company, so he can
Huge
work from
question.
anywhere.
Again, it depends on how his clients pay him. It will be the answer. I have to think about it, but just give me a shout or.
Make an appointment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you.
But again, I had 3 different countries' rules together, and it's a little tricky. Anybody else? Anything? Even things you've heard of, just to clarify, like everyone knows 7 years for receipts. No, it's actually 30. Even ask things like that because so many rules are changing. And if you give CBC, CKY, and Global $1.4 billion a year of taxpayer money, you've got a propaganda machine where no information actually comes out. Yeah, that's why Pierre Play is saying we defund all media because the information is not getting out. So a lot of what I follow, 4 in Canada, 1 in Germany, 1 in England, and 2 in the States. That's how I'm getting Canadian information.
So when does the 30 years start? Like
2016.
Like when you start working,
No,
so you could just
Started
start it.
2016 is when it started. Now, someone, I think it was Vicky asked the question, well, when does it become real? So 2016, 30 years back from then, because that's when the rules passed.
Right.
I don't know. I would say sneaky, untrustworthy people. I would guess 30 years back from 2016. Now, he's not going to do it while he's actually in power.
No, of course not.
Because that looks real bad on even CBC would cover something like that going. I've been involved. I know it does happen now, but it's not widespread yet. I had one client. God, thank God he was Italian. It'll make sense in there. His parents owned an apartment building. He inherited it when they passed, and he sold the apartment building. But they went back 30 years and said, when the apartment building was purchased by your parents, what was their intent? And he said, I was in grade 4. What are you talking about? Like, I was a child. I wasn't in the, and we're on a speakerphone having meetings. He doesn't know what to do. And I'm like, this is asking what his parents' intentions were when you were in elementary school. I don't know. I really don't know how to answer. There's not a book on how to answer that question. And they said, well, come on, you must have had some idea. He said, oh, I remember. I wasn't there. I was at recess. We hit you and we're crying laughing so hard. It's making stuff up. I was at recess. Yeah, so we come back and then
Yes.
Sarah just said, well, okay, well, if you remember any more information, let us know, it would help us with this. Again, the parents passed away, they have the clearance certificate, everything's done, the building's sold. But they're going back to try to change, to see if there's capital gains on this.
Right.
Just predatory, very evil stuff.
Because it was obviously bought for revenue, right?
No,
Right.
it could have, if it was a hobby, the whole, it changes the rules, right? So they thought it was personal because they wanted 12 places to live in. Just, yeah, so this guy. Yeah. So have fun with it.
One last question from someone online, and then what I'll do is close up the session, and if
Okay.
you guys have other questions for Dalton, and maybe you'll stick around for a little bit later. and you
I'll be
can
here,
speak
yeah.
Personally, okay? Yvonne asked, if you fired your kids as contractors, do they need to issue you an invoice?
No. Just like I don't invoice any of my clients, that's a retail store mentality. It's a good question because many of the Income Tax Act laws were based on what exists at the time, which is retail and a piece of paper and blah, blah, blah. Not a lot of that's happening now. Oh, much less of that is happening now. Retail stores still exist, but a lot of it is transactional based or e-transfers and so forth. So an email saying, hey, please send me $300. That's technically an invoice, I guess. And then it goes back. So, yeah, good question.
Do you need to have a contract, like an independent contractor
Agreement.
agreement?
No, self-employment is literally, I say I'm self-employed, a sole proprietorship. 100 years ago made sense when 94% of Canada was farmers, fishermen, miners, and loggers. That made sense. Now it's the same page, it's T2 and 25 on the tax return. It's the same page, sole prop, self-employed. So no.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming out and joining our
you.
session. Let's give him a hug. To our agents, just wanted to give a heads up, the next Saturday, we don't have a training session, we just have our Christmas celebration at night. But if you do have guests who are interested to learn about our corporate opportunity, then let us know, and we can set an online presentation for that, okay? And so thank you so
Thank you very much for
coming
inviting
in.
me
It's
again.
great.
Thank you. Okay.
Great, thanks, have a great day, everybody.
All right. It's- And it is fun.